Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and this is our weekly. We usually do these throughout the week. I go solo, but on Mondays and Saturdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, myself and Jeff do our live stream. But I'll be doing these probably more regularly during the week be right after blockchain basement. So around 10:15 Pacific Standard Time. So, without further ado, if you could, make sure you're following us, DeFi Crypto and Airdrops on YouTube. We are on Rumble, of course on X. I am Veteran, the number 4 crypto on Twitter or X, whichever one you want to call it. But let's jump right into this. So, got some great stuff for you guys and gals. So to start out, I always start out with DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama is a really good place for analytics for data, and it will give you a finger on the pulse of what's going on that day as far as volumes, where the liquidity is moving, things like that. So again, you name it, any kind of data, any kind of analytics. If you're a numbers person like I am, this I can sit on this thing for hours, just looking at trends, looking at what platforms that the liquidity is moving to, all those sorts of things. You can scroll down here and you can sort. So the spot volume on dexes right now, pancake swap is killing it. It has just over 3 billion in 24-hour volume, followed by uniswap, orca, and radium, meteora, and then aerodrome. So, this gives you a really good idea. You can see that Pancake Swap is up over 1,000% over the past 7 days. So it gives you an idea of how the liquidity is moving, throughout DeFi. Because if you've been in DeFi for, a minute, you'll know that you're making your fees or your yield off of the volumes on the dexes. So, as people are coming onto the dexes and they're doing swaps and they're, borrowing and things like that, then that is what's feeding the fees and what you're earning off of. So, it's not good just to know that Uniswap is a great platform or Aerodrome is a great platform. It doesn't matter how great the platform is, it matters how much TVL and how much volume. Volume is the most important. So again, great resource. Up here I have the TVL and the Dex volume on. You can come down here to the slider, slide it over so you can get it, kind of zoom in, and you can see, the past couple of days that the TVL and the volume has been spiking on Dexes. So that's why, I know all my pools have been earning great the past couple of days. In fact, I want to take a look at Ethereum real quick. Because while I was watching the basement, Ethereum was pumping a little bit. So yeah, we're up to 2,605. I'm waiting to see Ethereum get back up to like 4,000, 4,500. To me, that will be a good indicator that alt season, and of course, Bitcoin dominance dropping. But to me, that will be a really good indicator that, alt season, may be just around the corner. About 2,650, I need to rebalance. So if that happens during this live stream, I'll do a live rebalance on my wrapped ETH USDC pool that I have on BFAT. So, a little bit of news. A Plume. Plume is a institutional grade real yield platform, and it is from my research, the most comprehensive RWA play that's currently out. I've of course, on the Monday and Saturday streams, we have Jeff, and he's really good with the airdrops, and because he's looking at those airdrops, a lot of times he's seeing projects very early on that maybe even haven't even gone live yet. They haven't even done an initial coin offering. So it's super early in their lifespan. And so we get a really close look at some low caps, some really good low cap gems and potentially, really big earners. And one of those was Plume. We looked at another one called Maverick not too long ago, and then last night we did a really good one on Newton. It's a AI AI DeFi or RWA play, intellectual property, things like that. But Plume is, and I'll talk about it a little more here in a second. But they're offering one of their partners is called Nest, and so with Nest, they are actually onboarding bunch of different uh, a bunch of different investment companies like Blackstone, Simplify. What else we got? Investco. You got BlackRock. It's just UBS, Apollo. A lot of really big institutional players are getting into DeFi. And you're going to see more of it. As we get regulation in place, as they get the laws and the structure of what's allowed and what's not allowed. These institutions legally will be able to enter these markets. And Ondo just the other day was meeting with the SEC and talking about the tokenization of stocks and treasuries and things like that. And Ondo is a partner with Plume. So Plume is by far one of my favorite RWA plays and DeFi plays right now. Not just because of the project itself, but anybody that sees me rambling on in the chats, I can't shut up about Plume, and especially in DeFi. So I'll show you real quick. I and a lot of people that have listened to me have gotten into these Plume, these Plume pools on Uniswap, and right now it's only at 115%, but I've seen it as high as 3, 4, 500%. Just in the past 13 days on about $2,900, I've actually earned like $180 just by having it in this very wide range from 15 cents to 25 cents. And it's been riding in this range for a very long time. I suspect that once mainnet goes live, we're probably going to see some price appreciation, which is going to suck for DeFi because it's been trending sideways so well that it's great for staying in range and earning these higher APRs. But again, if it starts pumping and goes out of range, that's fine. I'll get price appreciation plus the yield that I've earned over the past couple of months. I'll rebalance and I'll keep riding it up. Getting part of the price appreciation and earning yield on the way up. So, no matter what, as long as you're managing your pools properly, and we do a bunch of videos on these different strategies, but as long as you're managing your pools properly, then you are going to make good profits. You need to track them though, and we just started the new Discord. So the new Discover Investment Group Discord just went live today, and you can see in the description below, you can actually come and join this. And what this does is it gives you access to Discover Crypto. So you got DZ over there, you got Josh, you got TJ, you get access to Blockchain Basement with Drew and Isaac. You get access to the BitLab Academy with Kelly. You get access to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops, which is me and Jeff. So it's your one-stop shop for subject matter experts. You can have us look at your portfolio. You can look at our portfolios. We can, get into live calls, down in the meeting room. We can actually do like mastermind groups to where we can meet once a week, once a month if it's something that people are into, and do live video calls and basically share pools that we found in DeFi. Great earning opportunities. Low cap gems, great airdrops. Me and Jeff are going to be doing we just started last night a fresh wallet. He's going to start doing. We're not going to fund it with a single fiat dollar. We're not going to inject any liquidity into it. He's going to do nothing but airdrops to fund it. And then I'm going to take that, those airdrops and use it to do DeFi, and we're gonna see with absolutely free, nothing but our time, no actual, liquidity injected, from fiat. We're gonna see how big we can build it, over this bull run. And at the end of the bull run, we're gonna do a giveaway, and we'll figure out what that is. But we did it on it. We talked about it on another episode. You can do crypto even if you don't have any money. If you have some time, learn from Jeff. He has his channel, the Blockchain Report, and we talk about it again on Mondays and on Saturday nights. We talk about fresh airdrops, and you can some of these are worth a couple of $100 to a couple of $1,000. So you can earn free money by helping them test these networks and use that and roll it into USDC and ETH and Bitcoin and whatever you want and DeFi it and grow a portfolio, even if you don't have any money. So there's no excuse to not get into crypto. You just need to learn. It's all about education. So, yeah, this is going to be a great resource. Hope to all see you in here. Here is the DeFi Den is where you're going to find me. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help. Of course, you can reach out to me on X. I'm always happy to help people. I want to see all of you be successful in your investments. All right. So back to Plume. So again, Plume is bringing Investco's 6.3 billion senior loan strategy on chain via Nest. So Nest is a partner with Plume, and this is what Nest is. So earn yield from real world assets. Swap stablecoins for Nest issued tokens backed by assets that are fully liquid. That is the key of what digitized real world assets does. It makes them fully liquid, 24/7, 365. They are buyable, sellable, tradable. You can take out loans against them. This is the future of finance. You know, Gone are going to be the days of 9 to 5 brokers and having to wait for the banker's hours if it's a holiday, in a certain country, you can't trade in that country, things like that. That's going away. It's 100%. I'm watching the evolution happen right now. These companies are digitizing these real world assets, stocks, bonds, treasuries, real estate, intellectual property, art, all of it is, ownership is going to be digitized and you can fractionalize. So say that you have a piece of property, you can actually, onboard it through Arc, which is a onboarding tool that has developed that in minutes will allow you to digitize a real world asset. You can fractionalize that and basically put it out there to where people can lend you money, using that as collateral. And then you can take that liquidity and you can improve the property. You can buy another property, do whatever you want with it. And it just opens so many different doors to me and you. It's like crowdsourcing. It's kind of like DeSci, that decentralized science where somebody can have a great idea, but mainstream science or institutions or VCs don't want to fund it, but me and you think it's cool and we can fund it. That's why I'm so excited about DeFi and about RWAs is it opens up the financial sector to the average person like me and you. Whereas a lot of things were off limits to us before. You had to be an institutional investor, or you have to meet certain criteria. Basically, you already have to be rich, but before you can play with the rich and get rich. It's stupid. So it's all under the guise of protecting us from our stupid selves, which is bullshit. Let me give a shout out to the chat real quick before I get too deep into this. So Wispy, Kyle, appreciate you guys. Big Falco, dude, I appreciate you showing up, and I'm glad that you're finding value here, brother. Black Ice, Crypto Stevo, Brandon, hell yeah, the crew's all here. Richard Planko, awesome. If you guys have any questions, by all means, drop them in the chat, and I'll get to them at the end. I'll do the whole military thing. Save your questions till the end because my ADD ass will get off track. So, um, real world assets. Again, you got Carlyle Group, BlackRock, Blackstone, Apollo, in Inamoy, Centrifuge, Simplify, PayPal, Paxos. I mean, all these Hamilton Lane, Investco, UBS, huge bank, Goldfinch, Midas, Mao, Superstate, Mineral Vault, Credible. I mean, these are, I mean, any one of these, BlackRock by itself is a huge amount of assets under management or AUM. Granted, it doesn't mean that all of it is going to come on to this, but it shows that the biggest players in in the traditional finance markets, and BlackRock being the biggest, are interested in this and actively building. So, keep that in mind. So, let's go to how it works. So, basically what you do is you deposit into Nest vaults, and I'll get into, something similar on Beefy here towards the end. I want to show you the progress I made on off those new vaults that I opened yesterday. You invest into these vaults, which are bundles of real world assets. So it might be gold, it might be real estate, it might be a mix of stocks, treasuries. These institutional managers will build out these vaults of bundles or baskets of assets. You'll just deposit liquidity, doesn't matter what it is, and then they will pay you out, so that it will be allocated to these management groups, your liquidity, and then based off of that, you'll earn a yield that comes back to you. It's just that simple. If it's anything like Beefy or anything like Moonwell, it's going to be very hands off and automated. So it will optimize the yield. If there's a range or something like that, it should auto rebalance. And so other than just tracking it and making sure that you're staying profitable, that's really the only thing you should need to do. And I'm excited to see what their dashboard's going to look like, because I really lean towards these platforms like Beefy that track your profit and loss, your P&L, because it takes everything into account. If the price movement, it factors in the APY or APR that you're earning. It factors in fees. It's basically, after it all boils down, are you positive or negative? Are you making money or are you losing money? So yeah, Nest, I'm going to be huge on Plume because of Nest. But you can see, they have Nest, they have Ondo, all these ones that I was already talking about. You got Mercado Bitcoin. Their Layer Zero is the one that's giving the interoperability to Plume, so that it includes, like, I think it's like 19 so far, 19 different chains that will be that Plume will have access to for interoperability of moving this liquidity and moving this TVL. Let's see. Cherrywell, welcome. I really like that. Like a promised buyback from the company, but from the loanee. Okay. Oh, buyback. I don't know if it would be a buyback, but yeah. I mean, I can see where your head's at. I can't see. Oh, when is Plume going live? It's supposed to be this month. I've seen some unsubstantiated reports of here in the coming weeks, and they do have a posted that there was okay, that's not it. So they launched. All right. I don't want to waste too much time with that, but um, Bloomberg News. So we covered this last night on the main show. This Plume Alpha. So I won't go too in depth. If you're interested in going deep on this, you can go to plume.org/blog, and it's at the top. This just got posted yesterday, and it's basically their mainnet journey. So they are they are hinting that they're going live soon to ensure a seamless user experience at launch. The focus here is on ecosystem readiness. No retail users will have access to Plume applications. Oh, looks like I lost you guys for a second. So basically, I'll summarize. Um, this is a beta. They basically are doing a soft launch of the Plume mainnet that retail isn't going to have access to. There was a I really want to find this for you all. Damn it. All right. Like I said, I don't want to have you guys watching me surfing the net, but there is somebody posted it on X, and I went to it, and it shows the on-chain activity. So it's in real time. It's showing, like, how many wallets there are. It's showing all the transactions. The cost of gas. Just all those different things. The TVL. So you can see that they're actively testing the mainnet, and I think as soon as they get green lights on everything, and everything's running the way that they expect it to, they'll be going live. So I think it's going to happen fast. So me personally, I've been in these pools, that I've been showing you all, earning as much as possible, as much plume as possible, leading up to the main net launch. Let's see. I think my internet's acting up. What is going on? All right, hold on. Let's try this again. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Some technical difficulties. All right. So, I think that's enough about Plume for right now. But those of you that aren't familiar, this is something that by far has been my top earner. So I've actually earned, I have my tracking sheet, actually earned on my Arrow Lock 200% so far. And that's even with the price of Arrow being down. So basically what this is the Arrow locks. So one of the things that you can do with Arrow, with your Arrow tokens, is you can actually, if you deposit 25 Arrow or more in a lock, then you get this flight school. And the flight school actually gives you it's around 50%. of, it depends, but a lot of times it's like about like 40 to 50% of whatever you deposit, you'll get in a free locked airdrop. And you can boost that by putting it into a VE Arrow Maxi Relay or having a Coinbase One account. And I won't get that deep into it, but basically, if you're bullish on Arrow, this is something that I would at least suggest looking at. You are locking, and myself, I locked for 4 years about 6, 7 months ago. So I still got like another 3.5 years before I can access, these Arrow tokens. But initially, I put in 5,100 Arrow. I got 2,600 free Arrow in an airdrop, and I'm almost up to 10,000 total, uh, total tokens, and it auto compounds every week. So if you don't understand how auto compounding or compounding works, I would suggest looking into it because in DeFi, the more you can compound, the more you're going to earn. So by the end of the lock, I've done the math, and I'm going to have about 75,000 Arrow. So even at a $10. So here is my some of my holdings. So you can see right now I have this wrapped ETH USDC pool, and we're sitting at about 2,614. If I get to 2,649, I'm going to end up being out of range and I may need to rebalance. So I'm going to show you. Notice how I'm towards the top end of this range. I want people to understand what happens as the price moves up and down through the price range on a concentrated liquidity position. So there's full range positions like this USDC arrow that I have, and it just says active because it's a full range position. I'm only earning only 41% APR on that, but that's steady earning. I can't stress that enough. It might not seem like a lot, but you're earning a steady 40% no matter what the price does, which is for me is key. I do make sure that I have some of these concentrated liquidity pools because you can see I'm earning 223. I've seen this as high as 8 or 900%. But just in the past like 2.5 days, I've earned over $100 on just $4,200. Do the math, you know. But you can see I'm up towards the upper part of the range. If I expand this, it shows you my holdings. So when I went out of range at the bottom, I was all in on ETH and I had 1.66 ETH and no USDC. But when I came back into range, it started selling off or DCAing me out of that ETH into USDC. And you can see the closer I get to the upper end of the range, the less ETH I have and the more USDC I have. So as I cross this threshold at 2,649, I'm going to be all in on USDC. And so I'll probably have like 4,400 bucks or, something like that. And at that time, I'll have to decide, do I think that ETH is going to keep going up? Should I rebalance? What am I going to do with this liquidity? So just so you understand how concentrated liquidity pools work. Let's see. Oh, let's connect and check on, come on, the hell? What is going on here? Come on, you can do it. There we go. Give me the button. Show me that button. All right. So we need to look and see if these uni rewards, it looks like they're still going. So let's actually go to this pool and see if it reset for 2 weeks. because they've been offering on some of the Unichain pools on Uniswap. We've been getting some sweet bonus APR in Uni token. All right, so it looks like they're only doing it for 7 days now. It was for 2 weeks, but now it looks like they're doing it a week at a time. So this might be coming to a close. But if you go to Uniswap, oh, son of a, sorry, not sharing my screen. All right. Yeah, Richard. So if you locked 2,500, you should be getting the airdrop. Make sure that you put that lock that you did into that into this. Make sure that you put it into this VE Arrow Maxi, because if you do that, they will vote for you each week to ensure that you get your weekly payout. Because if you don't vote, you don't get your weekly payout in from Arrow tokens. So put it in the VE Arrow Maxi, and you'll get a bigger flight school airdrop, and it will be basically you don't have to worry about it. You'll just weekly get that compounding yield. So it's a great way to go. It's there from what I've read. There's no added risk. You should be good. So it's again, if you got the lock, it's a great way to get more rewards. You So, um, these right now. So you have, all of these. You can kind of see this small little pink dot down here. These are pools that are on the new Uni chain, and to incentivize people to inject liquidity into these, they're boosting the APR. So instead of just earning, like the one that I'm in is this USDC wrapped Bitcoin. So instead of just earning 35% on my Bitcoin, I'm earning 35% plus another 17.5% for 52.38%. So I mean, it's not, I don't have a huge amount of money in there, but for the foreseeable future, this is my Bitcoin bag that I'm growing in DeFi, because as the market starts to take off and we start seeing this price appreciation, and I start hitting my milestones or my price points to start laddering out of my positions, and locking in stables and Bitcoin all of my profits. So, I'm sure I've shown it before, but let's see. Yeah, this guy here. Yeah, make sure that it's showing. So yeah, this one here, you can see I have my Casper, my DAG, my Arrow, my Ondo, my Plume, Link, all of them. And I have what percentage. And again, this is in the Discord. I posted these, so if you're a member in the Discord, feel free to go in there, and they're free to use. So go ahead and copy them, and you can put in. I'm going to sell 10% at 10 cents. I'm going to sell 20% at 15 cents. Another 20% at 20 cents, and it will automatically calculate how many coins that is and what profit that you'll make, and then the sum of all those profits if you hit all of your milestones. And then of course I have that I'm going to long term hold some of my positions, but like with my portfolio, if I hit all of my targets and profit wise, I'm going to have 581, almost $582,000 that I'm going to be all in on USDC, USDT, stable coins and Bitcoin. And then of course I'll have some on the side as well for my long term holds. But this is what I'm going to use to DeFi stables and Bitcoin, and just wait, and just stack dry powder. It might be 5% on stables. It might be 30% that I'm earning on stables. I don't care. It's free money. And I'm just going to let that build and build and build and build until the markets, pull back and take a dump and we go into the bear. And then slowly I'll redeploy those assets. I'll start stacking new bags of new projects, or DCA into old projects. Redeploy into liquidity pools and other DeFi plays. So this you know you need to come up with these plans ahead of time. You can't wait until you're in that emotional state when everything's pumping and everyone's acting like everything's going to the moon. You need to make these plans when you're calm, cool, and collected. When you're stoic, because emotion will kill you. Some that little voice in your head will be like, I can make a little bit more. I can make a little bit more, and it's going to destroy you. So you need to have a plan on how you're going to ensure that you at least get your initial investment out. You know, and then of course, above and beyond that, but build this plan now so that you can ensure that you don't round trip your bags. You don't want to be sitting around for another 4 years, you know, hodling these bags that you had a bunch of profit in, but you neglected to sell anything because you thought everything was just going to go up and to the right forever. So let's see if there's any questions. All right, no questions. So beefy. These are the two positions that I opened up yesterday right before we went live. So it was about 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So it was about uh, 18 hours ago ish. But I only deposited $500 into this AVAX position because I wanted to. I had never used Beefy before. I wanted to see how it works. I really enjoy testing out these platforms for you all and kind of giving you a review on, hey, this is what the fees are like. This is, how well it pays out. When you deposit liquidity, this is the process. When you take your liquidity out, these are the fees involved, and this is what it pays you out in. All those sorts of things. I want to. I know that there's people out there that don't have a lot of money, so I want to make sure that you're not the guinea pig or the canary in the coal mine. I'm making myself the canary in the coal mine, for you all. So with this, I put 500 of AVAX directly into this pool. I was just able to inject AVAX. I didn't have to sell some into USDC and figure out, how many of each I needed to get in the pool. I just was able to throw $500 in AVAX. It does it all automatically for you. It sells off some of it, after you go in there. I think it's called a zap, but it automatically balances you into the liquidity pool, and it automatically optimizes the yield earning. It also, if it goes out of range, it auto rebalances according to the logic that is built into it. And so far, doesn't seem like a lot, but in not even 24 hours, in 24 hours, I'll probably make about $2 off of $500. So if taking that into account, let me do some quick math. What percentage is 2 of 500? I know this is easy math, but my brain is fried this morning. Okay, so 0.5% a day. So I'm making 0.5% a day. And of course this can fluctuate, but that means I'm making 15% a month, in a 30-day month. I'm making 15% return on investment. 10% in a year in traditional finance is considered awesome. I'm making 15% safely and automated, fully automated, where you don't have to monitor this. You don't have to check in on it every couple of hours. You deposit liquidity, check it, once a day, every other day, whatever time that you have available, and just make sure it stays profitable. And the great thing on here is it has a lot of this where it aggregates data for you. So it tells you, this is how much yield you've made. This is your profit and loss, your P&L. Total, I've made $5.66 because of AVAX has gone up in price, plus the yield that I've earned. So total, I've made $5.66, the current APY, and then the daily yield. daily, I should be making $2.22 at 397%. So it's I'm really big into numbers because if you're not tracking your P&L, if you're not tracking the yield that you're earning, you have no idea if you're being profitable or not. And if you're not profitable, you're just you're losing money. You're basically bleeding off value into the markets. So again, I put the tracker sheets in the Discord. I know that it's behind a paywall, and it's there's a lot of value there. I know that it's for some people it might be too much right now, but there's going to be a lot of tools and a lot of things behind that paywall that's going to make it worthwhile. So if it's something you can afford, I highly suggest it. If you need some help, and you can't afford to pay that, please reach out to me on X. I'm still very, very happy to help anybody out there. I want to get you to a point to where, $100 to join the Discord is nothing compared to the value that it brings, and that you're comfortable doing that. So, if we needed to, help you get there, kind of, offline, I'm more than happy. Anybody that's in the chat, it's Black Ice, Deadwood, Mr. Mark, Ellie, all of them. I, will always take the time to one-on-one help you. I want to see all of you be successful. So, the fees involved with Beefy. Um, Somebody asked this yesterday and I didn't have a good answer. So, the fees are factored in. So the yield that you see that the vaults are earning you, that, like in this case, 397%. That is minus the fees. So there is no additional fees other than what is already built in. So, what you see is what you get. You get the 397% APY is what you're going to end up getting. So I don't know a simpler way to put that. And basically what that does is that those fees, fund the development team, the treasury, basically for operations, so that they can continue to ensure that the platform's secure and all those sorts of things. What else? And then the Beefy Zap, that enters you into the vault and does all the automatic, buying and selling and swapping and stuff like that, so that you have the ease of use. That is a 0.05% on deposit and exit if you use the Zap. If you want to do all that manually, that's you can do that and not get charged that fee. But the automation itself, it costs like 0.05%. For me, it's worth it. It's 0.05% is nothing. Um, so I think that is it. Let's see. Again, um, just on the way out, we are going to start. We're going to be doing a giveaway at some point at the end of the bull market. Right now, Jeff, hold on. Right now, Jeff is building out a wallet specifically with no money in it. He's going to start farming airdrops. So 100% free money. We're not even going to do airdrops where you have to inject liquidity to do the airdrop. It's going to be nothing but 100% free airdrops. And we're going to use that to fund the wallet. And I'm going to use that liquidity to DeFi. And we're going to see what we can grow it to 100% for free. We're not going to, again, we're not going to add any liquidity to it. It's all going to be free money, and we're going to see how big we can get it. And at the end of the bull run, we'll do a contest, to those that watch the channel, and based off that, we'll give a percentage of it away. Maybe it's like there'll definitely be some kind of giveaway though. maybe we'll fly you out, like if there's a convention or something like that, we make enough off of it. We'll like fly you out to meet the crew, or I don't know. We'll figure something out. But with that, I just wanted to do a quick live and kind of give you guys an update on Plume. Give you an update on this beefy new platform that I started using. But so far, I'm liking it. I was looking for a place to deploy and get some good earnings on my AVAX bags, and I love the automation. So it makes things a lot easier to track and to manage. Let's do a quick check on the markets before we sign off. Oh shit! So Ethereum's up to 2614. Um, yeah, I might have to rebalance here in a minute, but I'm not going to have you guys waiting around on that. But again, feel free to reach out to me if you need any help. But until next time, Veteran Crypto out.